At the outbreak of the First World War, Britain only had a small army made up of volunteers, and so on the 6th of August 1914, the Secretary of War, Lord Kitchener, asked for 100,000 new recruits. It was here that the patriotic men of the Royal Norfolk Regiment congregated before leaving to war. Many thought they would be home for Christmas and had not anticipated the long and bloody global war ahead.
In 1916, conscription was introduced for all men aged 18 to 41. Those that didn't sign up were possible conscientious objectors, and not to be at war was seen as cowardly. Life at home could be tough, especially for those who could not go, having failed medical examinations.
My darling wife Anne, please accept these words as my humble apology. My love and affection for you remains so strong, but I fear yours does not. Perhaps rightly so. I am duty-bound as the head of this family to protect you and our children. But how can I protect our boy, so young and innocent of the bleak misery of war, when I'm stranded here in Norwich? This damned leg. My crippling legacy from the Boer War leaves me no choice. It pains me to feel this helpless. The boot factory needs you, they told me, with a hearty slap on the back. Perhaps. But I feel as though I've been stripped of all integrity and left with nothing but anger. I know the drunkard that I become is not the man you married. Please forgive me. I promise to make you proud of me once more.
St George's Street today is very quiet, but in the past, this location, home to the old Norfolk shoe factory, would have been a hive of industry and activity. By 1900, 7,500 people were employed to make shoes, and 15% of the city's entire workforce was in the shoe and boot trade. Before the war, 66% of the industry's workforce was male, but this landscape changed dramatically as the women took over the jobs of men who had left to fight.
My dear son George, we were so happy to receive your letters, to know that you're safe and well. We've been praying for you, putting our trust in God to protect you and supply you with all you need. We have much news here in Norwich to tell you about. I've joined your father in the Norfolk boot factory. I am learning how to pattern cut Cossack boots for your Russian comrades. I'm enjoying a new challenge, but I'm sure your father feels a little awkward, surrounded by so many women in the factory. Mary has a permanent position at the Norwich and Norfolk Hospital, a much needed distraction, as she is beside herself with worry waiting for news from Redwood. Philip spends most of his time leaping through the woods, pretending to fight Germans. He is most certainly with you in spirit. I know that you heard your father and I argue before you left. Everything is fine. Please, do not worry. I promise it will be different when you return home. He is a proud man, deeply frustrated that he cannot be on the front line with you. We are also deeply proud of you. May God in his mercy look over you and bless you. Your loving mother, Anne.
This is Bignald School on Crooks Place, formerly known as Crooks Place School. For a child growing up throughout the Victorian era, school life was very different to the way it is today. The law said that children had to stay at school until they were 12 years old. After that, children from poor families usually had to leave and go out to work. Teachers could be very strict and bad behaviour was punished often with a wooden cane across the hand.
Dear Diary, the city is quieter than usual. It doesn't feel right not having the older boys here. Dad's been drinking again and Mum's been crying. I know they're worried about George, but he's fine. He told me before he left. He looked very good in his uniform marching down Elm Hill, about to embark on this great adventure. When I'm riding on the tram, I stare out the window and imagine I'm fighting by his side. And on our way to school, me and Henry play soldiers with sticks and pretend we're shooting at the Germans. On Friday, we were late to class, and on Saturday we couldn't even hold sticks like guns because our hands were still sore from getting the cane. It's even stricter at Crook's place since war broke out, and I hope when our brothers come home, everybody will be kind and happy. Mary's finished her training as a nurse now, which is good, as I'm always grazing my knees.
As soon as war broke out in 1914, hospitals in England prepared to see war-wounded soldiers. This hospital, the Norfolk and Norwich, led the way. Additional beds were made available and marquees were set up in the hospital grounds. Over the course of the war, more than 7,880 servicemen were cared for here.
An inspiration to many young women was Edith Cavell, a British nurse celebrated for helping an estimated 200 Allied soldiers escape from German-occupied Belgium. She was arrested, found guilty of treason and sentenced to death. Her execution received worldwide condemnation and extensive press coverage. Many memorials around the world commemorate her. One of the first was unveiled in October 1918 by Queen Alexandra on the grounds of Norwich Cathedral, where her body was laid to rest.
Dearest Aunt May, just hours before he left for war, Edward proposed to me. I felt like my heart would burst. Now my heart is torn with feelings of joy and excruciating worry. Dear God, please bring him home fit and well. I'm concerned too about Father. He is angry and bitter. I feel I should do more. After all, it is my duty to heal and help those in pain. But how to reach him? He has grown so distant. Work at the Norwich and Norfolk Hospital is challenging, but I am proud to be playing my part. I must admit, the matron has been testing my nerves. She simply must have an opinion on everything I do. We had a convoy of 97 war-wounded men arrive from France last week. A shortage of beds proved extremely challenging, but we did our best despite matron's constant criticisms. Donations have been flooding in for a much-needed new military ward. It will really enable us to treat these poor fellows more efficiently. It distresses me to see the state of many of our soldier patients. God bless and protect my loving fiancé Edward and my dear brother George.
During the Great War of 1914 to 1918, Norwich lost an incredible 3,500 men. In 1926, Private Withers of the Norfolk Regiment unveiled this war memorial. Huge crowds of people gathered to pay their respects as a testament to the depth of feeling in the city for the brave young men that had given their lives.
I do not know how to begin writing this letter. The circumstances are very different than any under which I have written before. I shall not post this, but leave it in my pocket, and if it reaches you, for me there will be no war, only eternal peace where I shall wait for you, my family. Oh, how I love you all.